So let me just try an experiment. That the camera just shut down at 80 minutes. Usually I get 120 minutes, and we're on the Van Dynes. Okay, one Van Dyne was reported by an NEC informant to have been the liaison officer between MI6, the CIA, Mossad and the Vietnamese government during the 1960s, when the Rolling Stones is the joke about the Easter egg. Yeah, and we are brutalizing all of those places using all of the Rothschilds owned institutions that we told you about. Okay, and that says Vietnam naked girl gun to the head. Vietnam naked girl gun to the head, defoliation bombing. This is the making of the Paint It Black album for the Rolling Stones, and there is the evidence that that is a joke about all of the imperialist might of the great countries that are America and the G8 countries now. Okay, just all totally tragic. And when they come home they make the Deer Hunter movie and make it look as if the Vietnamese are to blame. Same in Korea, where my dad went, yeah, as an engineer, risked his life for all of these greedy, yeah, murderous bastards, in religion, in fascism, in wartime, in peacetime. And there's the firebombing campaigns in Vietnam. Yeah, they learned that in Dresden, and they got rid of the corpses by firebombing before the troops swept in, and all the treasures were taken out of one of that Dresden is one of the World Heritage Cities. Yeah, it's massive, absolutely massive. And there's the girl, totally naked, with her skin coming off because she's been defoliated. And then you get all the malformations when they have their babies. Okay. Planned Parenthood, an important new age group which has been promoting sterilizations, birth control, abortions, etc. for over half a century. Okay, this is what my wife said to me, was that when she was getting close to the menopause, yeah, and every Friday night, yeah, because of my Catholicism, my affiliation to having sex in an orderly way as the morality of our world demands, my wife refused me wet sex, yeah, unless I got my sexual organ snipped. Yeah, she understands all of it. Yeah, she understands that she would not have, she miscarried twice, and that, she told me, was the 2 female children that she was bearing in her womb. All 3 of my children are boys, yeah, and that's what she said to me. Yeah, even 3 or 4 years before she deserted my bedroom for the government when they demanded it to get me silenced as a political activist. It's really quite sinister. I don't know how she lives with herself. Yeah, Valerie Jane Lees works for the government, trained with Manning and Buller, Marks and Spencer's, Chipping Norton set, right next door to Chipping Norton. And when we lived there, the snowstorms were massive when I returned from New Zealand, wondering how I was going to ever get a job again in the pharmacy sector. And I was scammed out of that by the Church of Scotland vicar that is now back up in the fiefdom of Fife with massive blood cancer. Yeah, and none of them see it coming. Sorry, I've misspelt demand. And that's the M and M Sweeties jokes about the Piso family, Arius Calpurrnius Piso, and Mariam, the mother of God, and the siring of that child, yeah, the most powerful fraudster in the whole world, Arius Calpurrnius Piso, by Emperor Caligula. M&M Sweeties. Mariam, in the massive joke about the Judah film featuring Charlton Heston in the chariot.
Special buses.
Oh, sorry.
Collect them.
Back to eugenics. We did not want to do that at that time. I'm not sure why my videos are now being restricted to 80 minutes rather than 120, but this appears to have been. I might have to make one of these again. The third is Moana Van Dyne, who has authored several poetry books. No Wikipedia profile on anything other than these topics. Okay, so we now get into a series of foundations and funding mechanism. Edward Seguin Van Dyne and Planned Parenthood, featuring Robert De Niro out of my favourite movies as Leonard Lowe. Yeah, Robin Williams, my favourite actor from Jumanji, as the Sayers, the eugenicists. Julie Kavner as Eleanor Costello, the eugenicists. Have you heard of Abbott and Costello before? It's now snowing again, quite heavily. Penelope Ann Miller as Paula, and Max von Sydow, the power base name in the middle, as Dr. Peter Ingham. Okay, and we've got a Lucifer in the cast. Keith Diamond, and another Vin Diesel as the orderly, this time uncredited. Edward S. Van Dyne, 1872 to 1955, was a prominent surgeon who was born in Syracuse, New York. He went to Princeton like Woodrow Wilson, the scamster in World War I. Yeah? Sexual deviant, sexual affair, the appointment of all of those Jews on the Supreme Court in America who coerce, yeah, Wilson into extending World War I by 2 murderous years. 80 million war dead, Mrs. Valerie Jane Lees, as I said in the court the other day. And then got his MD at Syracuse in 1897. That's a medical doctorate like Ian Fingland has. Okay. During the ghastly World War I, which they totally coerced Wilson into, and that's Wilson in the Dad's Army cast for a laugh, now being remade for shame, because Calpurrnius Piso's image, the CP word, is on the shoulder of every one of the old Dad's Army cast. That's why they've had to remake it, featuring the Albrechts of World War II and the plots to murder Hitler, allegedly. Okay. During the ghastly World War I, B was in the US Army Medical Corps in France, first as Major, then as a Lieutenant Colonel. Edward S. Van Dyne attended the Unitarian Church. That's an interesting one. I think this is where it took me into the Rangers story. During his life, a church which has long been associated with the Wiccans and witchcraft. Okay, and that's the wicker baskets and the straw man jokes in the Yellow Brick Road, Dorothy jokes, yeah, and that's the liberal Presbyterians. Okay, all the false religions come out of the same places. That's the lying dens and the Walloons, and that the inflatable person drifting up to heaven is the Lily Allen joke. Okay, about the air balloon. And she is a deformed child too. Sheryl Crow lost her breast when she made that joke about the sun coming up over Santa Monica Boulevard, and watch all the human beings floating up to heaven around her. Okay, Presbyterian Church USA. Okay, and there are all sorts of little clues, but I'm going to keep moving. Presbyterian Church of Ireland, Presbyterian Church of America, the Cumberland Presbyterians. Do you get that one? That's the Butcher of Cumberland in the sectarian division that is the Bonnie Prince Charlie jokes, yeah, and the Orange Nell Gwyn jokes, yeah, for the King Charles children that are the launch of the Christian Bible. That's Wee James, yeah, one of the religious ships that sails with the pilgrims. Yeah, do you get it? That is the Cumberland Presbyterians. Duke of Cumberland, Prince William, Duke of Cumberland, the Duke of Cumberland arms, with brick floors, wooden scrubbed tables and a garden with ponds, all of the icons. And this is the Henley joke in the Great Escape team. Yeah, it's in Henley in London, and that is underwater for much of the time in recent years, thanks to the gods, and they're really powerful. Okay, do you get the Duke of Cumberland? He was the Duke of Cumberland, the Marquis of Berkhamsted, where I lived before I met my disloyal wife, and she understands that De-Gaulle spent all of his life in profiteering in World War II in fucking Berkhamsted as well. And that is the joke about the clerk of works in the castle at Berkhamsted was the New World Order author that is Geoffrey Chaucer, and all of it is a huge laugh for them. And look, it's pissing down with snow now. Okay, so do you get it? That's De Gaulle, the total traitor, and the three French profiteers deserting his country into Buckinghamshire in World War II, and the same joke about the Butcher of Cumberland, who's an ancestor of the German monarchy, who are still on the throne in Britain, and is descended from the Pisos that faked the Bible up. Henley Pub and Butcher of Cumberland retirement home for Hanoverian Brits. Okay, Prince William, Duke of Cumbria. Let's just show you some evidence that that story I've just told you is true. There he is, fat bastard, and he's got his loins on display using the same type of jacket that the woman Marlene Dietrich prances around in, but she shows you her stocking tops, yeah, and what she's selling. Both sides in that great conflict that was World War II. Yeah, Prince William Augustus, Duke of Cumberland from 1726, best remembered in murdering the Jacobite rising at the Battle of Culling of the god Odin in 1746, given to him by his English Tory opponents. I believe that in Berkhamsted they were Baptists, and that is really evil. Okay, and it does not tell you that he lived in Berkhamsted, but that might be further down. Okay, there's the Battle of Culloden, and there he is again pictured, and he was cast out of the contention for the royalty because he had done the genocide, and that might have been reputationally hazardous. De Gaulle of Berkhamsted, there he is. Yeah, lovely Tudor houses in Berkhamsted where he lived. Yeah, they've got those Weber windows. Weber comes into the story as we get into the Hudson's Bay region, yeah, and the bear jokes for the Rothschilds. Yeah, and the Masons run it everywhere. And De Gaulle makes several movies about the assassination of him, yeah, when all of the honest people are being assassinated in mass murders in the great conflict, that he totally sidesteps. And there's all the pubs in Berkhamsted, on all the canal jokes about canalising the river to protect themselves from the acts of God, and all of them get buried in water when you get the floods that we've had recently. And that's where we used to have a Christmas party with the welcome people that were the victims of my old boss Professor Trevor Jones, who now worships at the Jehovah's. And none of them raised a finger when I was under the sectioning threat. Okay, there's the old mill at the other end of town, yeah, and that one there had a jukebox in it, and I used to play Bruce Springsteen's My Hometown, yeah, and think about being home in Scotland where the Freemasons are absolutely lethal and are legends, and eventually send an Armstrong to the moon. Yet with the Freemasonic American flag flying there, yet all in a studio in Hollywood. In 1933 he founded the Planned Parenthood Center of Syracuse, New York. Planned Parenthood Federation of America was an Illuminati-inspired organization that was set up to accomplish several objectives. Planned Parenthood selling baby parts. Yet this is the Elton John. Find something that you can put in the test tube to get the cell, yet that is the ovarian cell, donated by some woman. Yeah, you need not be even intimate with the family. That's how you have your babies now. That's in the face of the acts of God. And many of them believe that they're immortals. Yeah, there's the baby bits. Yeah, it's really quite evil. Yeah, and this is the Superman technology that was going to save that man that played Superman, who played the actor's role in The Remains of the Day, about professionalised